everyone, and welcome to our interregional podcast. We are the Vietnamese Student Association at the University of Washington Bothell campus, or VSA UW for short. My name is Brandon Vung. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I am the Public Relations Officer of VSA UW for this academic year. I'll be passing it off to Micheline.
Hello, everyone. My name is Micheline. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm the president of VSA UW for this academic year. And I'll pass it off to Paul.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paul Han. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I am the secretary of VSA UW Bothell for this academic year. So joining us today will be Stephen Leung. Stephen, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Stephen Leung. I go by he, him, his. I'm a fourth year at the University of Washington Bothell, and it feels nice to be here.
Hey, yep. So the topic today is welcoming VSA members. So to start us off with, our very first question to discuss is, who was the first person that welcomed you, and how did they make you feel?
For me, the first person would have been Philip Nguyen. He really got me into VSA after hounding me for 2 years.
Yes, we love Philip.
Wow.
Yeah, Philip's a real one. And then ever since then, since I joined, I've really loved the club and being like a part of it.
Yeah. Personally for me, I think my first person was Neil, because my first kind of like VSA UW event was Turkey Bowl, and I was interested because it was Ultimate Frisbee. But yeah, I met Neil, and then that kind of segued me into VSA UW. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Funny enough, Neil was actually the very first person that introduced me as well, but for a different reason, of course. How I got introduced into VSA was what started off as a joke, because I knew Neil outside of VSA and outside of school, so I knew him personally. But then, so last year he was the treasurer of the VSA UW Bothell, and because he was an officer, I thought it would be funny. I was like, "Hey Neil, what if I joined?" What became a running joke became reality, and how Neil really made me feel like once I got into VSA it was a very, very warming and welcoming feeling.
Oh, that's really nice that Neil was able to recruit you too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess for me, aside from knowing Jenny, since I've known her for like a lifetime, the first VSA person that I met would be Thien. I remember I was like super shy. I used to like literally pull out my laptop and do homework in the middle of a meeting. And Thien actually came up to me, and like she's all like super bubbly and everything. I love her for that. And she pulled me to like actually join in on the meeting, like the activities and everything. So Thien would be my first person.
Yep. And for y'all listening, if you ever get the chance to meet these people, I'd say go for it, because like the individuals that we mentioned now, they are amazing individuals, and I'm sure that they would love to have a conversation with y'all, especially the new members listening in on this podcast. But that also transitions us to the very next question to discuss, which is, what do you think is most important when welcoming new members?
Well, for me, it's mostly like just including them with whatever like you're doing, just so like they don't feel left out. So like just including them with whatever activities, really, like no matter what it is, like involve them with conversation and whatnot.
Yeah, personally, I think that's like the best way. Well, in my opinion, that's the best way, right? Because me personally, I am introverted and shy, right? So usually I won't go out and do anything by myself, except for the Turkey Bowl thing. That one's different. I just really liked Ultimate Frisbee. But yeah, I think, I kind of fell further into VSA UW when I became more involved in like during the meetings, right? Neil and like other officers and other members would just like talk to me, tell me to do these things, and that's also how I ended up in this public relations position. But yeah, I think that's just a really good way to, I was gonna say pull members in, but that sounds bad. It's not bad. We're not a cult, I think. We're not a cult.
We're kind of like just recruiting members, getting them involved in campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, get them involved with like learning about Vietnamese culture and whatnot.
Exactly. Yeah.
But like I think through these these first interactions, you'll like start slowly getting to know each member, and like you'll slowly be pulled into like different hobbies and like different interests. So like there's that gradual buildup of like involvement.
Right, yeah, because like with VSA U2B, like typically you have that connection of like, most of our members are Vietnamese, right? So you have that like instant like mutual kind of like aspect, right? So then you can build off of that and find, you know, more commonalities, and that's how you build. Well, that's how I built a lot of my friendships here.
Yeah, so based off of that, I'm actually curious, like, from your own experience and growth, what would you say makes this VSA so special?
I guess for me, it's just having so personal story, but when I first started college, I was the guy that went to class and then went straight home. And so I didn't really have a sort of community to like turn to in
Same.
my college life until I started attending VSA. And so from that experience, the club itself holds a good place in my heart.
Dude, that's the exact same with me. I used to be like at the very beginning, right? Fall quarter, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do my classes and go straight home. I don't plan on doing any clubs, any extracurriculars, but now I'm here. And I'm happy about it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm really happy about it. I honestly, when I went into VSU to be like college, right? All I had were like my friends from high school. And I only knew, and only a handful of them went to VSU to be, right? So I really didn't have that large of a circle of friends. And so joining VSA, right, has opened so many new doors and like made me so many new friends. And I don't know, it just makes me like really happy that I now have like all these different people to rely on, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Especially you, Stephen.
Yup.
Yeah.
I definitely relate to both of y'all's. I was also like that too, Stephen. Like fall quarter, I gave VSA a try, like first meeting. I got really intimidated by everyone, and so I actually stopped for the rest of the quarter. But then yeah, literally like throughout the entire year, I would just like study or go home. And then that was it. But after joining, I would say mainly culture show, that's how I got more involved with VSA. So
Introverted gang.
Introverted gang. I mean, this is what I call character development.
That's very true. That's very true. If you join us, you develop character.
Yeah.
Personally, for me, it was more the inclusivity from like the entire like group of people that like are like established members, like how well they really include people, like when they're going out for like lunch, like let's say in the ARC, or when they're just casually starting to say, hey, let's go grab some boba or let's grab some dinner. For for those listening in the podcast, I am a Korean American, and I am in the Vietnamese Student Association, but that's what drew me in. It's like the inclusivity, because these people have a love for people, and that to me is the reason why this makes this VSA so special, is because like everyone puts in so much effort to put in an open mind, which is what drew me in. Is like I can really share about my opinions and my thoughts without like, with the trust that people have that open mind and are willing to like delve into that discussion and like grow it furthermore.
Yeah, jumping off of that, like Paul mentioned earlier, right? It's about like the inclusivity, and he, the people went on to like to hang out and grab boba, but obviously we have this issue of the pandemic, right? So we can't do those things anymore, and so essentially, basically, just like, how do you feel about like kind of like this new upcoming year and like the new member situation, right? Because this year, especially, we're losing. I believe it's like 10 of our seniors, right? You and Micheline included.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're losing a huge chunk of our club, right? And then we have a few new members, right? But we're definitely like, it's a decline, right? And so I guess, what are your thoughts on like what VSA is going to look like moving forward, right? Especially pertaining to new members.
Hopefully, it's really like the job of the board or the cabinet board to like try to draw in these new members, but at the same time it's on these people to be like interested in VSA in the first place. So it's like a two-end deal. Like the board needs to put an effort, and the person that wants to join VSA should also put an effort as well. But it definitely like comes down to like how the person feels about like the club in general and whatnot. I'm not too sure about this issue though.
Yeah, I think especially now, new member or like potential new members need to be the ones that like kind of reach out, right? Because like before when we were in person, it was a lot more easier to kind of like invite people. I was about to say peer pressure, but that's not the right word. Invite people, right, to join us, right? But having it be online, it's more difficult, right? Because you don't see those people in person and you can't. And the next best thing is to like text them, right, on Zoom or like DM them, stuff like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess to bounce off that, it's really like, okay, we need to introduce these peoples to VSA in the first place, and then it's becoming our job as like current members to like really retain them and like have them stay and like be a part of the community.
I think a part of this is like also like when we were in person, the way that we would market and publicize our events or our club in general is by like putting posters around the campus, or like sometimes I don't know, during welcome week, some officers might introduce themselves, or like any club activities at the start, like to freshmen who are new and who are looking to get involved with campus. We would also try to recruit members that way, but being online, it's definitely a lot harder. It's like we don't know like where to go or like where to find these members. All we have is social media, you know, just it's always the constant like posting either on Facebook or Instagram, just trying to publicize as much as possible. But like you said, Stephen, it's a two-way street, whether like the officers will put in this effort, but it's also like on the members or those who are interested in joining to also make the effort to come out to the meeting and try and see what it's like.
Yeah, I sort of feel like when it was in person, because we had those like little hangouts during just like hang out, you know, it was sort of like, oh, we're pretty loud normally, but like I guess that's sort of like free marketing for VSA, because we're just vibing there. So there's that. Yeah, there's definitely like issues and like difficulties with like the new online setting.
That's definitely true. We were like that one group in the ARC.
I mean, it's okay. I feel like we got the attention of like a lot of people though.
The ARC was our home.
Stays in our hearts though.
So in your own personal, like based on your own personal experience, like what makes the concept and idea of welcoming such a powerful tool in an environment like VSA?
I guess it's like meeting new people. So it's like first impressions like can be very impactful in a way that like, oh, this is what they normally are. So like if we come off as nice, they'll think, oh, these people are generally nice. And then if they're mean, you know. So it's just generally that first impression that is the most impactful to like tie someone in, really.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It also helps retain like a lot of the members that do stay in, like it's for like a longer periods of time. Definitely, it's that like I think people also notice like the consistency of like how well the welcoming is in that particular environment, whether it stays consistent and whether it stays very strong within the community, and how we really look at new members and old members.
Yeah, also like we're assuming that like the first introductions for like new members are VSA meetings, and so probably the content in which we're providing in these meetings will also play a part in their first impressions, because like they assume, oh, it's a Vietnamese student association, so they're going to talk about Vietnamese culture. And so with what we show them within like these meetings, it'll also like let them know like what our club is mostly about.
So Stephen, I'm kind of curious. Since you joined for a couple of years now, right? How has your perspective about like VSA UW changed or grown over time?
Oh man. So my initial thoughts were, oh my gosh, VSA is just like another cliquey club. And that really deterred me because I felt like, oh, I'm just like some freaking some freaking loser that like intrudes on them. But as time went on, I first like started just like hanging out in like the arc with you guys, just minding my own business. But like as time went on, I slowly got to know each and every member, and I started to like feel included, right? And so I started being invited to things and whatnot, and I felt like, oh, I'm part of this club now. It feels nice. And then once junior year comes around for me, I'm like super involved with the club. Started doing a culture show, went to like pretty much all the meetings, and like just actively like being around VSA. So it's definitely like changed my perspective, and I really wish that I had joined VSA earlier to experience like this community.
Yeah. For me, my initial perspective about VSA UW was that it was kind of like a cool kids club. Honestly, like everyone there was so cool, and I think part of the reason was because everyone was so comfortable with each other, and they were able to kind of like be themselves and show off and express their own personalities, which I found just very attractive, I guess. Yeah, and that's what like kept me coming back. Like everyone there was just like, it was nice to be around. And like I guess over time, going back to like my initial view of VSA UW, those were like in the first couple of like months maybe, but like later on and even now, I think of VSA UW as a family, right? All the members, all of the officers, like everyone, all the alumni, like they're all like family to me. I feel like I can depend and rely on them, and they'll help me, and vice versa, right?
Yeah, I can totally agree. My perspective has definitely like grown in a very, very positive and healthy way, especially when it comes to VSA the bottle. Um, my initial thought joining this club was actually I got really weird because I thought it was only like Vietnamese students only, or the kind where it's like it's only like Vietnamese culture centered. But um, that perspective flipped 180 after like one or two meetings and Turkey Bowl especially, in that these are people who really want to share their culture and want to get to know people on like a great personal level, like a family would. And I definitely agree. It's like the theme of the theme of family, especially in this club, is just so big, especially for Yuda Bottle, because we really, really enjoy hanging around with each other. We really enjoy getting to know one another. Like even, especially if it was in person, we would ask like anyone who's in the vicinity of the arc is like, hey, let's go grab like coffee, let's go grab like a snack, let's go grab lunch. So my perspective definitely grown in that. Wow, this is a family. This isn't just like a group of friends, but this is like a big, big family that you can just call on anyone and say, hey, let's go hang out, let's go grab some lunch, or someone you can like call to study. So that's definitely, yeah, I definitely agree that my perspective changed more towards like a family like theme.
Yeah, like Paul said, right? Like feel like a big family, and I think that's in part because of our Vietnamese culture, but not just Vietnamese. It's really kind of like an Asian culture, really, because like you see a lot in Asia. There's a lot of, I believe the term is familial piety, but it's kind of just like loyalty or like not obedience, but it's like loyalty to your family, right? It's like family first, and then like everything else after, right? And that's like I know in the Vietnamese culture, like that's how it's built on, right? We have a lot of respect and specific kind of like terms that we use to address like our elders, and then like our elder siblings, our elder cousins, and stuff like that. And so it just creates the language itself, and the terms that we use just creates a very family like environment, and it just ties us all together, right? Even if like you've met like your cousin for the first time, you still call them by like anarchy, and that like immediately like ties you together, right?
I think a part of that is also like yeah, like you said, uh there are elders that, or like the older people that we respect and everything, but some of like the upperclassmen, they tend to like look after the underclassmen a lot, right? And they try to like build that bond to make them feel welcomed and everything as well. I think another thing is like we also did start implementing the anti-am or ace program a couple years ago. Stephen, do you have any thoughts on that? Like, did you join or anything? Did you have a bigger, or were you a little, or have a little?
So right now, or last last year, Tree was actually my big, and it was an amazing time, like getting to hang out with him and like getting to know him bit by bit. But like a bit after, I started going to more like regional VSAs, and so through that, I adopted 2 littles from Northwest, and it's been a blast just like hanging out with them, getting to know them, sort of like talking to them about like future aspirations and whatnot, like just those small like interpersonal like interactions, virtually of course. And overall, I sort of just think of it about it not in terms of like, oh, I'm older than you, I'm your big, so I get to talk down on you. But I sort of think of it as like, oh, you scratch my back and then I scratch your back, sort of deal. So like, I guide you and then you guide me, that sort of deal, really.
So moving on, do you have any particular questions for us, like in terms of this topic?
I really would like to like just mention like the pros and cons of like our amazing Discord. Like, first off, it's amazing. Bless those moderators and like those admins. But like, what are your guys' like pros and cons of the Discord?
I can go first. I would say for the Discord, I do think it's a really great place to easily connect with friends, like whether you're studying or you want to hang out and just talk or like play games. I think I would say the biggest con for me is that most of the time you will see it's male dominant. Obviously, it did start off as like Discord is a gaming type of application, and so most of the time you will see all the boys playing games or just mainly on it, and not enough female representation, but we do have some who do show up and everything, and so it's always a good time. But I think that's one of the biggest cons. But again, a pro is just like it's easy to just connect with everyone, and I think that it's also brought a lot of people closer. I mean, like before we had the Discord, or like when we were still seeing each other in person, it's not like you would call and talk to friends up until like 3 to 5 a.m. I don't know, just chilling on the Discord. Most of the time, like after we left school, we would just do our own stuff and see each other the next day. But this is like, it's continuous where we can just continually hang out the entire day with one another.
Definitely a pro for me is I get to talk to a lot of the members in our Discord and get the opportunity to welcome new members. But it's like it's an easy space to be able to hang out virtually, even though it's not physical. I still find it great that I can hang out and talk to like a lot of people and get to know people. I guess the only con for me is it can get hard to study at times if you're in the wrong channel. We have many channels, one designated for studying and others designated for gaming. But I mean, if like a number of people go on a channel, it can be hard to study at times, but doesn't mean it's always a bad thing.
Yeah, for me personally, I think a pro would be that like we were already using Discord a little bit, right, before the pandemic, and so it was a fairly easy transition for those who are already using Discord, right, to just go onto it. Um, I think that a con would be mainly just like the fact that it's different because Discord is mainly a audio based type of communication rather than something like Zoom, right? Zoom is a platform that encourages more of both the audio and the video. But with Discord, it's mainly audio. There's an option for a video, but it's not something that is commonly utilized, right, by whoever's on the Discord. But yeah, I think that's mainly it. Another thing to add is that thank you to our admins, Axel, Will, Brandon, they're the moderators of the Discord. And recently, well, beforehand, right, it was just normal Discord, right? But after we went online, like they really fleshed it out. They added so many different channels, a lot of different roles, and it's just become a space that I would say is very similar to the Arc, but in virtual mode, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, Steven, do you typically use the Discord server or anything?
I sometimes use the Discord, but it's mostly like, oh man, I kind of want to focus on my work right now, so I don't want to like go through the process of like hopping on and then like getting distracted. But like I definitely do like it as a platform. It's like getting together with people from VSA, and like the occasions where I do join, it's always a fun time, and I usually stay up super late too. So I guess that's a con, if you may, but I do enjoy the like small exchanges in like talking between everyone, because I know everyone's busy. So like just having small talk with members of VSA is like it fills in that gap of like community that was missing because of going online. So I definitely do love the uses of Discord, and I do see the like the cons of them, because not everyone uses it and the whatnot. Yeah, that's pretty much the only question I had.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining us, Stephen. It was great having you and hearing some of your thoughts as well as everyone's thoughts on these topics that we shared so far. So that wraps up today's podcast segment on welcoming our VSA members. If you are interested in hearing more topics discussed by our officers and members, tune into next week's podcast. So yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yep, of course, of course.
Anytime, Steven.